They just asked me what the toughest part of my job is.
Well, if you get an assistant coach, maybe it'll make it easier.
I am your assistant.
Max, you come over here, I'm going to teach you how to bathe, and then we're going to speak about Maria. This 28-year-old first achieved the world #1 ranking in 2005. She owns 35 career titles. Notably, she's one of just a handful of women who've achieved a career Grand Slam, having won Wimbledon in 2004, the US Open in 2006, the Australian Open in 2008, and twice at Roland Garros in 2012 and last year. Her strong play in this year has seen her lift the winners' trophies at Brisbane and Rome. I'm going to say this at the fear of her yelling at me once again. This is her 8th trip to the WTA Finals, runner-up on 2 occasions, and of course our champion in 2004. From Russia, please welcome our number 3 seed, Maria Sharapova.
Aren't you guys supposed to clap? You left all the applause for Max and none for me. Questions?
Question, please.
Hi, Maria. So basically, I'm assuming you're feeling almost 100% now. You've got to be happy to be back on court. It's been tough since Wimbledon.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely quite disappointing to give myself a bit of false hope in Wuhan, because I felt like I was feeling quite healthy coming into the tournament. Not many matches, obviously, but I felt like I had great practice for a few weeks. Came into my first round, and yeah, just you just never know when things come up in your body, and it's tough to realize it when you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, I went to Europe, I got treatment there, had a case of inflammation, and yeah, and then got back to work, started feeling better, and feeling good. So I mean, it's the best I can do going into this event is taking care of that injury and working through it, and then practicing as much as I've been able to. So.
Hi, Maria, Sandy. How hard is it, though, having been off the court basically since Wimbledon, to come into such an important tournament without match play?
Right. It is. It's frustrating because you train and you want to see some sort of reward, and by reward I don't mean wins, I mean just going out there and seeing how you translate your work onto the field. So when you're not able to do that, that's frustrating. You feel like I've done quite a few start and stops in the last 4 months, so that's kind of been the toughest part. But ultimately, look, I know that a lot of the girls have been fighting for the last 2 positions in the last 2 weeks, and I've felt that I've had the luxury, by being somewhat consistent in the first half of the year, to give myself the opportunity just to heal, and knowing that I was already in and just doing everything I could, not having to rush around and seeing if I could play through a tough injury or not. So yeah, that's been helpful, but obviously frustrating not competing.
And can you just talk about your group a little bit? Obviously, I guess we looked at Simona, but you've beaten her all 5 times you played and stuff, so just a little bit on that.
I think because I haven't played, everyone that I would face, no matter who's in my group, would be a challenge for me. And I think it's a big step for me to be here and feel that I am healthy. It would be a bigger step that I'll be able to compete in those 3 matches and finishing them off healthy. And that's my goal. And everything else, I just have to take the positives out of it, because I feel that I've committed myself to being here and done everything possible. So if I can stay healthy and work my way through the matches, no matter who I'm playing, I think I have to worry, in this particular situation, I have to worry about myself a little bit more than who I'm playing against.
David Mercer, BT Sport, and the fact that this is round robin gives you the opportunity to play yourself in, as opposed to thinking, hey, I lose the first match and I'm home.
Right. Yes, but in many ways, you know that you do have much tougher competition than you would have in a normal first round, maybe. So in many ways, yes, you do have an opportunity if it doesn't work out so much for you in the first round or 2, but it's still quite important to get off to a good start.
Hi, Maria.
John from Straits Times in Singapore. Can you just talk a bit about the difference in mentality coming into the end of the season as opposed to the start of the season, and obviously you're not injured, hopefully you've got a good preseason, there's a bit of freshness to you, but coming to this, what exactly is it, how different is the mentality? It's obviously a bit more of a grind at this late stage of the season.
Yeah, well, compared to other years, it feels a little bit different just because I have been competing since Wimbledon, so I actually don't feel like it's the last tournament for me because I missed many tournaments, and that's one of the reasons I'm participating in Fed Cup final this year. So usually I'm already thinking of the Monday where I'll be traveling on holiday, and now I'm already ready to start the off season. So it's just a different way of thinking for me now than it's been in the last few years where I've had the full season.
What motivates you to train and play at this age? How do you juggle your business commitments and your on-court play? And do you think, what are your thoughts about more rest for players and less tournaments?
Well, look, I really love playing tennis, and there's nothing else that really gives me that feeling and that competitiveness and the thrill of the emotion that I get on the court. And as long as I will experience that, I will always believe that I have the motivation to become better. And I think that's inspiring for me because I'm still quite young, even though in the sport there's a much younger generation coming up. But I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle, and I feel if my body allows me to, that I'll still be playing for many years. And as long as I have that passion and drive, nothing else is as important as waking up and becoming a better player. So as far as the season, I think, of course, we have certain commitment tournaments that we have to participate in, but I've kept my schedule pretty minimal in my career. From the very beginning of my career, I think that's something that my team, because when you're young, you don't always make the scheduling decisions, but my team and my father made a really conscious effort to understand that, you can't look at rankings, you can't look at points, you have to look at the bigger picture, and that's how I kept my career, and I feel that I've done really well. So even though it is a long season, I've kept it pretty minimal in terms of the amount of tournaments that I play.
What about rest, more rest and less tournament?
I mean, if you look at my schedule, I feel that I do have that amount of rest, and I think for me it's more important to have good rest and more quality time on the court than traveling around the world and playing 7 weeks in a row. That's just not, I don't know if my body is capable of doing that.
You talk about the new generation of players. Is it?
Next question. We need to share that.
We can do a one-on-one later.
Maria, you talked about how it was so important to preserve your body and not chase ranking points and things like that. Many other players over the years have talked about the field and they've got that need to commit to tournaments and they're chasing points and they feel that kind of pressure to play those events. Why is that a pressure for some of them, but for you, you've said my body and my longevity is more important than that?
I think it's just a different mentality and more of a self-belief. I think maybe some players need more tournaments to be ready for a tournament, whereas I feel that if I commit myself and I'm healthy and I commit myself to the right amount of weeks of training, yes, I might have to go through rust and get over some moments where I make a few errors and I just have to let that go. But I believe that I will get through that and I will have chances to go far in the tournament. And that's, I don't know, it's a different way of thinking. I'm not chasing, it's not something that I've ever chased. I think if I did, I would show a different example of that. I mean, maybe you can ask other girls, but I don't really know.
You were saying you could continue to play another 4 years, 5 years?
I never said 4 or 5.
Well, you said a number of though, through 2020.
I said a few. So
A few, oh no, it's a few, you mean a couple.
My couple's 2, he was more than 2, so I don't know, somewhere there.
But maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, depending how your body feels, is that mostly what it is?
I don't know. I think if I set a certain time for myself, I don't know how I would handle that. That's why I don't really want to. There's nothing in my life that, it's not as if I'm married and I want to have children tomorrow. I mean, it's just, you know, of course I'm a woman at a certain point in my life, that's very important to me as well. And I would love to have that, but right now I'm happy to be in the stage of my career where I am, and I believe that I still have a lot in me to produce, and that's why I'm doing it. And if I didn't, then I have other things to do.
Hi, Maria. Could I just ask what's your mindset coming into this tournament, knowing that Serenia's not here?
Personally, especially in this case, in this tournament, considering that I haven't played much, it doesn't change much for me. I think, as I said before, it's not so much who I'm playing against or what my record is, than it is about just me being out there and staying healthy and working my way through the matches.
Do you sense a changing of the guard at all?
A change in what?
Of the guard, you know, new names coming in, major names coming in?
Well, I feel that there's definitely been a big mix of a few players that have done extremely well at certain times of the year and not so in other parts of the year. I think besides Serena, the consistency has been lacking, that's for sure. And yeah, of course, there are definitely names that have been around a younger generation that we've always believed would come through. It's proving to show that. There are also players that have had great potential that are, you know, around my age that have come through and done extremely well and even older. So it's been a little bit of a mix of everything this year.
Maria, have you been able to sit down with your team or maybe identify throughout this year whether or not there are, you know, because of the injuries and the illnesses, do you chalk that up to just bad luck, or are there certain training blocks or training things that maybe needed to be changed or something to put your body into a better position for the season?
I think with how different the things that I've had, none of them really make a lot of sense. So, I mean, on my shoulder where I kind of knew that it was just, I was always loose jointed, and that's just something that I always had to take care of. This is more of bad timing than anything else.
Last question in English?
Just one. Just a short one. Are you planning to beat in Singapore?
Am I a player to beat in Singapore?
To beat in Singapore?
To beat. That's not the way that I think, and it's not, I don't think it would be fair to myself if I thought that way. I'm one of the 8 players. I did something to be in the field, and I want to take my opportunity, and that's how I see it from my side.